I'd like to welcome everybody to the Lighthouse Project. Super excited to be back again, seeing some new faces, some familiar faces. In the past few weeks, we've been on this journey of Avodat Hashem B'Simcha. It started off with the secret to life, and we moved on to learn about emunah, prayer, the importance of being happy. We touched teshuvah, and then we embarked on this journey of Middot, character refinement, a person's attributes, and how to upgrade yourself to a better version of yourself. And we did a nice introduction to it, took a whole class. We spoke about love and lust. That was super interesting. Last week was hate and anger. That was also very interesting. This week, I did not expect to give this class. I'm by no way an expert about what I'm about to give over. I did the research. I'm going to pass it on because it's just another way of finding out about who you are. Another way of discovering your character. Another way of getting to know who am I, what's my strength, what's my weakness, and how do I get better. Keep in mind, we're constantly just trying to upgrade ourselves. So any information that you gain tonight, use it for introspect, to find out things about yourself, and then use it to get to a better version of yourself. Not to look across the room and look at the size of her forehead and the color of her hair and the size of her nose and the lines on her hand. We don't do that. You're not supposed to do that. I'm going to give over just a sprinkling of what this whole knowledge is about, just to give you an idea, just to give you a taste, a sampling of what it is. Should you want to know a little bit more, it's out there. And it's out there in a Jewish version, and it's out there for you to refine your character, and nothing more. Let's begin. So, in the past few classes, we've taken a closer look at Middot. Again, character refinement, person's attributes. Very, very important to refine your Middot to really be happy in life. We zoomed in on a lot of different parts of it, like we said, teshuvah, happiness, love, hate. And all were ways of crystallizing for us the work that is necessary to upgrade ourselves to a newer, better version of ourselves. This fourth part of this Middot chapter is very, very interesting. We're going to learn about our character, our pros, our cons, our gifts, our talents, our deficiencies, what we have going for us and what we have going against us, just by looking at our face and our hand.
You're talking about palmistry and phrenology?
No.
Personology, yes.
No.
Yes, yes, we are talking about that today.
Your palms can change. Like if your Middot change, your palms actually change.
Well, I'm preaching to the choir. You guys already know. It's true.
I read palms. So.
You do? Cool. So
My
let's see
mother's
what.
Moroccan. She reads tea leaves.
Oh, cool. Let's see where that gets us. Let's do a couple of disclaimers. This is not a palm reading class, nor a way to learn fortune telling. This is a class that has deep mystical secrets from the Zohar on how Hashem gave the human being a guide, a map, a manual that a human being can have and can help him through his journey ba'olam hazeh. And by learning about yourselves, your strengths, your weakness, your potential, and your self-awareness, you have an ability to succeed in your life using your own private life map. The life map is your face and your hand. Second disclaimer of the night. Nothing that we will learn tonight is a definite fact. All the information gained tonight is just a gauge to the potential in your life. And practically everything you will learn about yourself can be the complete opposite according to your actions. Don't ever forget that we have free will. Bechira chofshit, which can change everything. We will learn about your lifeline, your health line, parnasa, zivug, children, your health, and how many times you've been here before on this planet. Tonight, we will learn people's potentials of their character and lives from the color of their hair, eyes, forehead, nose, lips, and the lines on the hands, and overall resemblance to animals and the characteristic that goes along with it. Super interesting stuff. Another disclaimer. Do not judge once you've gained this knowledge, because you will probably be wrong. Rabbis with years of experience still do not go out into the world and dabble with this. Everything is just a suggestion to your potential, both good and bad. You're the one that decides the final outcome, not your face and not your hand. In other words, no matter what you learn tonight, and you look at yourself in the mirror and it's supposed to be, that's what he said, and you look at your hand and you said, that's what he said, it's not that. It's the potential to that. It could be this, it could be that. The way you act, the things that you do, will determine that. But you have the potential for that. That's all it is, it's the potential. Another disclaimer. I know nothing. I will just be repeating what I researched for this class, for the purpose of putting this class together on refining our Middot. That's the journey that led me to this class. We're just trying to figure out our Middot. We just want to find out, how can I better myself? And I found out that we could better our Middot through the knowledge of personology and palmistry, the Jewish way. This is just to have another angle on how to refine our character as told by our facial features and hand marking. Another disclaimer. Keep in mind, when you get that aha moment about yourself, make sure that you take that moment to elevate your consciousness of yourself and say, I'm good here. Let me protect this gift. I'm lacking here. Let me work on it. Meaning, as you're discovering these nuggets of information that you're connecting to, hold on to that and see how you can hold on to it or how you can better it. That's you use this as an exercise, not as a look into the past or into the future. Are you ready to discover yourself? Are you ready to?
Can't wait.
Are you ready to read your own map? Are you ready for your personal GPS to your personality? Let's get started. The art of Kabbalistic face reading and palmistry is brought by the Zohar on Parashat Yitro. It's called Razin de Razin, the secret of secrets. I'd like to take time to acknowledge our sponsors, Jack Ovadia, in honor of his in-laws, Yoshua and Hannah Gabai, for giving him such a great wife and always being there for them. Amazing. And for Refuah Shelema, for Menachem Mendel Ben Sarah Bater, Refuah Shelema Devorah Feger Bat Rezo. And to our Zevulun and Issachar sponsor, H&M Builders, Joseph Dornbush, a good friend of mine that supports this class and this program on a weekly basis. May Hashem bless him to build a lot of buildings and get a zivug and have a big atzlacha and bechol maaseh yadav and Be'ezrat Hashem shev besorot tovot. Him his family, his extended family, and Be'ezat Hashem, we will be able to be happy in his zivug bimhera, bimhera, bimhera. As well, I'd like to give an honorable mention to Rabbi Yeshayahu Yosef Pinto Ben Rabbanit Zayim. May she have big refuah shelema in his throat, and that we should hear his words of Torah again. And for my father, David Ben Zohar. Okay. The Zohar in Parashat Yitro, in section 12, called Razeh de Razin, it's called the Secret of Secrets, teaches us that one's appearance reveals the nature of the soul. The secret knowledge has been handed down from Hashem to Adam HaRishon. Adam HaRishon actually recorded all this knowledge in the book called Sefer Adam HaRishon, ancient knowledge that's been passed on for generations and generations. The next time that we see it come up was with Moshe Rabbeinu, which we'll go into detail now about it. Later on, we hear about it again with Shlomo HaMelech when he was trying to learn it. And of course, nowadays, here we are, 5,777 in Aventura, Florida, we're talking about it. Ancient knowledge. In Parashat Yitro, Yitro suggested that Moshe assign Shoftim v'Shotrim. He says, you need help. You need help with management of the nation. You got to put Sarei Alfim, Sarei Me'ot, you got to put one in charge of 10, 50, 100, 1,000. He wanted to help him out. Now, in order to do that, Moshe says, but how am I going to find out who's appropriate for these positions? So Moshe was taught by Kadosh Baruch Hu the art of face reading. So you can use it to appoint the right men for the right positions, to people capable of leadership. That's how it started. I'd like to share a midrash with you. So interesting. After Moshe Rabbeinu learned this secret, learning, this skill of reading people's faces, he passed it on to the children of Israel. Moshe Rabbeinu, what is he? He's our teacher. He passed on the teaching. After he passed it on to the Jewish people, they used this tool to evaluate Moshe. They looked at Moshe now. Now, what did they see? They came to the conclusion that Moshe has a great desire for women. And as a result, they always accompanied their wives. Because they didn't know when this midah, this character trait in him is going to flare up.
What's the source for this?
You will get it in a minute.
I never learned it.
That's why we're here. We're here to
No,
learn.
that's
How
why
old
I
are
asked
you?
the source.
How old are you?
20.
20. You're going to learn so much.
I know, I want to. That's why I asked what the source is. Because if I've never heard of it, then...
Kiddushin, Masechet Kiddushin, 477. There's the source. You got it early. Now, there's another midrash about a king, a goy king, a Gentile king, that heard about Moshe, everything that happened, Yetziat Mitzrayim, the desert, the wars. He was so interested in Moshe Rabbeinu that he hired a skilled artist to go and spy on Moshe and study him. And he also contracted him to paint a portrait of Moshe. So the artist spent many months looking at Moshe, making sure he's going to give the best work back to this Gentile king. And after months that he was satisfied with his work, he came back to the king that commissioned him. The king took one look at the picture and gave the artist a slap across the face. He goes to him, "Are you trying to fool me?" He says, "I'm very well versed in reading people's faces. How dare you try to fool me?" He says, "The man the picture you've painted is of a man who is a very poor character, And not only that, it shows that he desires women. And he has the face of one that desires to steal whatever does not belong to him. He also has a very strong desire for everything physical that I've ever seen. Okay, this is our spiritual giant, Moshe Rabbeinu. This is Gentile king just looking at a picture of Moshe. And this is what he sees. And he's well versed in the skill of reading a person's face. How interesting is that? The Midrash continues. He says, I don't believe you. The person that I see in this picture cannot be the great leader of the Jewish nation. He took 3 artists, 3 separate artists, and he commissioned them also to go draw a picture of Moshe. And all of them sent back pictures with the same visage. In other words, they all gave in the same picture like the first artist. One that the king described as a criminal face. Chas v'shalom. Finally, the king got very intrigued. This can't be. It's impossible. He goes into the desert to meet Moshe. And he sees Moshe's countenance. He sees his face. And to his shock, Moshe looked exactly like the pictures. He approached the great leader and expressed his surprise based on his understanding of face reading. And he says, Moshe, why are you so surprised? Why are you so surprised that I look like this? Moshe continues to say, is this not the true test of a man to overcome his poor character and strive for greatness? Not to be born into greatness? This story is quoted from Tiferet Yisrael in Masechet Kiddushin, 4th chapter, 77th page, and many other places. What do we learn over here? Before I told you the story, we have an image of Moshe Rabbeinu as the greatest leader of all time in the world, let alone the fact of the Jewish nation. We would never, ever, ever think that Moshe was actually working on his Middot on such a high level, on refining his character on such a high level that he became half angel, half man at the end of his journey. If you look at him, he looked one way. If you read into his face and said, you know what, this is what my face says about me, this is what my hands say about me, he'd have a completely different outcome. What did he do? He worked on his Middot. He worked on his character to the point that he was able to be the most humble man in the world, the greatest leader of all time. At age 120, his body was half man, half angel. Moshe Rabbeinu. Allow me to say, wow.
Yeah, but it's true. You know, wanting something that you shouldn't doesn't make you a bad person. You know, like, plus, you know, the people who want something that they shouldn't, they have to try harder than people who don't want it in the first place. So
that's the challenge of life.
So what they go through is, you know.
That's the challenge of life. The challenge of life is like you're giving yourself, you know, you've been giving a deck of cards, you've been dealt a hand. Work with this. Work with it. You got 2 aces and you got 2 3. What are you going to do? Work with it. I'll give you another example. The great story of the student of the Arizal. Na'amarchu, Rav Chaim Vital. The Arizal is one of the greatest rabbis to ever live. He lived for just a few years, only into his 30s. He had a prize student, Rav Chaim Vital, that he passed on all his learning to in a matter of just a couple of years. It's an unbelievable story between those two. But when I was doing research for this class, I came across this story as well, and I thought it was unbelievable. Rav Chaim Vital, the student of the Arizal, at the age of 12, came across a person that was well versed in the Kabbalistic hand and face reading. And he told him that at the age of 24, he's going to have a huge challenge. A very, very difficult trial in life. And it's probably going to last him about 2 to 3 years. He says, if you don't pass this challenge, you'll be one of the wickedest people on this planet. Rasha. But if you do, you'll be a big tzaddik. You choose. Wouldn't you know it, at the age of 24, the challenge comes. The rabbis didn't go into detail on it, but they said he had spiritual battles. He went to very deep lows and very high highs, and he came out of it. And he came out of it to be the what? The prized student of the Arizal. In other words, the person saw in his face that you have the potential for both. Choose your greatness. And he did. And he became one of the greatest rabbis to ever put down the knowledge of reincarnations, the knowledge of prayer, the secrets of Gilgulim and Nitzotzot to ever be. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have all this knowledge handed down by the Arizal. At the end of the day, they say the one who has the most amount of challenges is the one who has the most potential. The more you are challenged, the more you have things that are challenging you. That's because you have the most amount of potential. Because what's happening? You got the dark side and you got the light side. And they both want you. They both want you. You're precious. They want you. So the challenge for that soul, to lose that soul, that's why the battle's so hard. That's when a person is going through it. He should hold his head up high and say, I must be a real special soul. Because he's fighting me so hard to get me on the dark side. But I know if I come out of this, I'll be one of the biggest, the brightest diamonds in Jewish history. And that's for every Jew. That's for every Jew. And that's on a daily basis. There's another story. A regular rabbi in a community who was also very well versed in the knowledge of this knowledge, and one day he noticed that his wife's hand shows that she's about to die. Any day, any week. He was able to see it. Knowing that this was only the potential. There's only a potential that maybe she can die in a week or two. He decided to study and pray for his wife. And that's what he did every day. He studied and he prayed for his wife. And he was able to keep her alive with his studying and praying for over 25 years. Over 25 years. So in other words, you look at the hand, or any person looks at the hand, it could go two ways. You could say, oh, this is it. It's the end of the day. Let's say our goodbyes. Let's have a goodbye party. He said, no, it's just potential. Torah, mitzvot, change everything. Baruch Hashem, they had a very long life together for over 25 years. She lived a long and healthy life to the merit of his Torah and mitzvot. And Torah and mitzvot have the power to change your reality. Let's get into it. Warning. This is based on the Zohar Parasha, Yitro, Secret of Secrets, Azed Razin. This is where we're drawing most of this knowledge, because that's where it's the first time that it comes up. Not taking any external books, or, most of the Jewish writers all draw from this parasha. It was all handed down to us in this parasha because of that time that that Moshe needed that knowledge to pick the right shotrim v'shoftim. This material, the material being taught in this class can do great harm to relationships and to individuals. It is meant to be used by a person in evaluating himself, not other people. The reason why I keep stressing this out is because that's what happens. As soon as you get that little nugget that makes sense to you, you know what you do? You go look at your husband, you go look at your friend, you're like, oh yeah, that's what you are. That's what I'm trying to stress out. Do not do that. If you find something and you can learn from something from it for yourself, great. Otherwise, just leave it alone. It's not for us. when mastered, it can be used to evaluate other people. And mastery takes many, many years, and study and practice. There are, okay? There are 6 aspects of a person's countenance. In other words, face or facial expressions. And you need to examine each one in order to know this wisdom clearly. So it's the hair, the eyes, the nose, the lips, the face itself, and we'll divide the face in a little bit, and the hands, and the lines on the hands. Don't read my hand.
I just did.
Now, there's a limitation to face and hand reading. And she mentioned it before the class started. The limitation of face and hand reading is the speed that face and hand feature change. In other words, as you're doing a mitzvah or as you're doing a sin, it has an effect on how you look. People that are off the track and doing like, a wholesale amount of mitzvot, see them a year later, the face looks different. Go see a guy that's doing mitzvot for a year straight, his face is different. It's like it's lit up. The other guy's a little bit darker, he's a little bit greener. He's got different colors going on in his face, different features. But in order for those features to come out, it takes time. So anything that you read right now, it's not on demand. You're reading old information, old news. This is a person from last year. When you're looking at the hand, or if you're looking at the person, you're looking at the features of who he was a year ago. Because it takes time for the body to change the hand and to change the face. The body doesn't work that fast. Now, when you're looking at a person's face and hands, they're actually showing a person from at least a year prior, and sometimes even longer. So you know those tarot card readers that sometimes tell you, I don't know this, but I guess that they tell you all these things? They are working off of old information. They cannot give you anything current. Now, why is it like that? Why is it outdated information? Because Hashem wants you to walk with Him innocently. You want to go through life not with you want to have a guiding map to what could possibly be to help you out along the way, but you don't want something like turn left now, make a right now, and go over here. You can't be like that. You have to believe that Hashem has His best interest for you. So the emunah goes out the window when you live life like that. And Hashem doesn't want that. Now, chokhmat panim, otherwise known as personality, what's the origin for it? That we can learn the chokhmah of the face. So again, we're going to draw from this parasha, Parashat Torah. The pasuk says, in Perek Yudchet, pasuk Chaf Aleph, it says, "Ve'ata tachazeh mikol ha'am anshe chayil yirei Elokim." In other words, and you will look, or you will gaze, or you will see, from all Am Yisrael, you will find anshe chayil. You will find like these special people. So from those two first words, ve'ata tachazeh, we learned that Hashem taught him that special skill, and he's going to use it now to choose those people. Now, the face, it's split into 3 parts with 7 sections. Hairline to eyes, eyes to lips, lips to chin. These 3 areas say a lot about a person. Let's start. And the 7 sections of the faces are the forehead, the eyebrows, the eyes, the nose, the lips, and the chin. The person's size of his forehead, from his hairline to his eyes, determine his spirituality. The bigger the forehead, the more spiritual. The smaller, the less. The eyes to lips, that's the emotional side of the person. The greater the distance, the more emotional. The less emotional. The lips to the chin, that's the creative part of the person. The bigger, the more creative. The small, the less creative. Super interesting stuff. Because you could literally look at somebody and now you can have an idea. Now, we said that there's 7 different things, like we said, forehead, eyebrows, nose, lips, chin. I'm not going to go through everyone. I don't want to go through everyone. I don't want you to have all the knowledge. I want you to have just a smidgen, just a little bit, a taste. Just have an idea that it's out there. If it interests you and you feel that, you know what, I really need this knowledge to better myself and my character, you know what, I'm lost. Who am I? That age-old question. Who am I? Who are you? If you really can't find it with going to shul or reading books and having, mentors or life coaches, or if you really, after all this research and going online and all this vast knowledge that's out there, and you feel that you still can't find yourself, then maybe look into your face, what it tells you about you. Maybe then you'll know who you are. You don't have to go through life being lost. These are a few things that I thought were interesting. Let's talk about hair. White hair. White hair represents chesed, benevolence, kindness. It has the potential to do good more than other people. In other words, sometimes you see people with white hair in 20s, 30s. It's a good thing. That person has chesed going through his body. For older people, it represents a shift of energy to the side of chesed. What happens to older people? When they start turning gray, they don't fight that fight anymore so much, do they? You know, sometimes in their 30s and 40s, they'll go to war. At 50, 60, either they just don't have the power, or they just don't care, or they just know better. So there's a shift in energy, and it comes with the white hair. How about red hair? Red hair comes from the side of Gevurah. Now, when I say things over here, Chesed, Gevurah, Tiferet, these are actually Sfirot. I don't want to get into that, but it's all connected. Everything is connected to Sfirot, and that means that there's another layer of learning this. And after that, there's another layer of learning that through Hashem's names, Yud Kei Vav Kei and all that. And then there's another layer of learning it. It's like, I'm really just the top. But I'm just letting you know, when I'm saying these words, they're connected to deeper meanings. So red hair represents Gvura. It's a strong energy, passion. Person likes to pursue goals and for desire to manifest. It's a very, very unique person, the redhead. There's a midrash in Bereshit Chaf Hei that says, talks over there in Bereshit Chaf Hei, we run into Esav. And the midrash is saying about Esav, who was a redhead. By the way, if you ever want to imagine what Esav looked like when he was born, Elmo. Did you ever see Elmo? His entire body, all red hair. That's Esav.
David Hamelach was also a redhead, right?
Who?
David Hamelach?
Yes, he's right here, right now. So imagine, Esav came out looking like that. He was completely hairy. So this midrash talks about it. It says, look at this. Davar achar admoni, Amar Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda says, Im ra'ita adam shepanav adumim, if you see a person that his face is red or his features are red, or rasha gamur ke'esav, or tzaddik gamur ke'David. He could either be a complete wicked person like Esav, or he'll be a complete tzaddik like David HaMelech. And then they give you a sight of why they come up with that. Now, why is that so? You know, I'll touch on it later. It's very, very interesting. In other words, everybody has the potential. It's a very strong sign, a person with red hair. It's Gvura. But what is a person with red hair? He has the potential to be Esav. And on the flip side, he has the potential to be David HaMelech, Mashiach. Could you imagine? So that means that your features don't limit you.
Right.
It's just your potential. And your free will decides which way you go. But at least you know the tools you're working with. At least you know what God has given you to go into this earth. And every person has different gifts. You have to discover your gifts. You also have to discover your flaws. So like that, you're not going and making mistakes your entire life trying to figure out, I don't know why things are happening to me. If you ever want to go through life and say, hey, I know everything that's happening to me is because of this, and having an idea of what life is about, instead of going around aimlessly till you're 40, 50, 60, 70, it's great to just like be in control of your life and just know everything about you as early as possible. So like that, you can have a successful story. I mean, we've become a bunch of, like, it's like a generation of criers. We don't stop crying about, it's like everybody's walking around with a crutch. There's always a reason why somebody's not doing the right thing. It's because of this, it's because of that. Because, figure yourself out. Discover yourself. Upgrade yourself. Black and brown hair, which comes from the side of Malchut, you actually need to decipher through the hair's appearance and attributes. In other words, not just because of the color, it's the type of hair. We'll go to that in a second.
Well, aren't there 4 different types of brown, or 6?
There is. There's many. There's more blacks and browns than other colors because it's a mixture of hairs.
Yeah.
They say about blondes, their roots are green, so they seek balance and truth. Ask me what that means, green roots. I don't know either, but it was so interesting. Listen to these types of hair. They say wrinkled hair represents the energy of the person that is not strong, and they have difficulties building inner power. Such people, if they have some natural gifts, they need strong people or wives next to them to complete them and lead them to success.
Does it mean wrinkled? Is that curly hair? Is it wavy hair? What's the mean?
So, it's not curly, and it's not wavy. Wrinkled hair, I don't know if you've ever seen it, it's like what the ladies used to do in the 80s.
Oh,
Scrunch?
Yeah.
Whatever it's called.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's people that have hair like that. I have a good friend of mine in high school that was his hair. But his hair was closer to what I'm going to say next.
We have a picture of my great-great-grandmother, like in 1903, she had like the big updo they had, and her hair is like
Crinkly?
crinkly like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, it's from 1904.
They don't make hair like that anymore.
No, hers is natural.
So, there's another type of hair. There's hair that goes straight up from the root, and then wrinkles, and then bends down. I've seen that also. It's usually girls, like 3 days after their blowout, it looks like that. But it's usually like this. It's like, you know, it's straight, crinkled, and then it doesn't have the power anymore to stay up, so it falls. That type of hair, it represents rejection of the light of Chokhmah. In other words, some sort of spirituality wants to come into this person, but keeps pushing it out. And people with this hair get angry quickly and have issues trusting the light, have issues trusting Hashem. So I want to tell you something about hair. Hair is also dinim. Dinim is judgment. You know, like in Judaism, we have this whole thing of cover your hair. Girls, when they're not, you know, when they're young, we do braids on them. You know, they say that hairs are spiritual antennas for the men, that the chokhmah comes out from the hair and the chokhmah comes out from the beard. There is a huge, deep secret about hair. We're using it to beautify ourselves, but it's a way heavier spiritual side to it that I just wanted to mention, because when I started to read about it, I found out that not everything is what it seems. Nowadays, we're so removed from the truth and so removed from what things really are that we just see things, it's just hair. There's powers and secrets to hair. Let's talk about the face. Just a few. There's a lot. I'm just going to talk about a few of them. Say a person who has a round face. It's typically a person who's smiley, he's friendly, he's optimistic, he has a personality where he's humorous, he's typically a class clown, or the star of the bunch. People with round faces often seek attention, and they often fall to depression and self-deprecation. Square faces. In other words, they're symmetric in width and length. If you look at someone, like, it's as wide as it's long. Those people anger easily. They lack patience. They're very sensitive, and they're also very spontaneous. How about a triangle face? That's high cheekbones with a prominent chin. Say that those people have a good temperament. They live life as extroverts. They're very goal-oriented, they're very assertive. How about long faces? Say people with long faces that have high cheekbones and narrow features. They're very charming. They're captivating speakers, independent, artistic, curious, and investigative. However, they weaken quickly, and they're prone to sadness. And they're also bitter and unmotivated. And they're very sensitive, and they get hurt easily. Do you notice the trend? How there's, they can be like this amazing person, and then they can become this little dark individual. They always say, according to, each time they were describing a type of face, they had the potential to be like, oh, wow, an amazing guy. He's also got a dark side to him. Right there, you also have the potential to choose. Let's do the eyes a little bit. Like I said, try to just connect to the thing that pertains to you. And try to travel through the next 5 or 10 minutes to see if anything touches you. It's like, hey, does this make sense? Is this me? Am I good like this? Am I bad like that? Do I have to take things away? Do I have to add? Should I pay attention to this? Even if you walk away with one thing that you have to work on, it'll be good. But try to pick that one thing that connects the most to your features. Eyes. Eyes, you've probably heard this before, are the windows to the soul. They teach us the stability about a person, the power of intellect, and the expressions of desire. So this is interesting. I thought when it came to the eyes, seriously, because they are the window to the soul, they're very telling eyes. They say bright eyes signify beauty and joy. But then there's also enayim tzarot. Enayim tzarot is like narrow eyes. In Hebrew it's called tzar ayin. A person who has a narrow eye is the literal translation. It means that they have a lot of jealousy. They cannot see other people doing good. The Mishnah talks a lot about that. How about eyes that are close together? Eyes that are close to the bridge of the nose. That person is very independent. He's a loner, doesn't like company, a pessimist, impatient, and typically calm, but has outbursts of rage. How about eyes that are spread apart? That individual is an optimist. He's artistic. He can tolerate an incredible amount of suffering. I thought that was so interesting. Eyes that are spread far apart. They love to be free and live outside of the confines of this world. And they don't like to be held down. They're very friendly, they're very social, as long as it doesn't confine them. They have that live and let live mentality. They're very good-hearted and they're very loving. I just want to say that sometimes, I have maybe a handful of friends that live like this. And when I thought eyes that are very spread apart, that they had to be like googly eyes to the left, like over there. But it's not. I looked up the images. It's basically, it's just, on the face, pretty much just spread open. It's a certain face because, and it was a little bit true. A lot true. How about big eyes? Sometimes people, you look at them, all you see is the eyes. Big blues, big brown eyes. So the big eyes, they draw attention, and typically, the people that have them as well, they want that attention. They're a friendly type of person. They're very social. They're also show-offs. And they're pleasure chasers. They chase money and fame. And they have that, like, I want to eat up the world mentality. They're also very pleased with themselves at all times. You know, as a person that if you ask them, they're always like, oh, I'm great. You know, there's nothing wrong. How about small squinty eyes? We're not talking about Asians or a different race. We're talking about people that have small squinty eyes. You say those people are, or the face or their features say that they're sneaky, conniving, and they always have a hidden agenda. And the right is on their side always. That's their thinking. How about bulging eyes? You know, like fish eyes. Or cow eyes. You know, like big, bulging eyes. Those are typically very friendly, great leaders, king of the class, great talkers, very convincing. However, they don't pay attention to rules and protocols, and life is a joke to them. In Hebrew, they say, "Metzaftzefim al ha'olam." You know, they just nothing can get to them. Nothing pertains to them. I'm going to just do one more body part, which is the nose. Again, we did hair, we did eyes, we did nose. We're going to do the nose, and we did the face. Again, just to get a feeling for it. The nose is the insight to a person's materialism, money, finances, and also emotions. They talk about af nishri, or nishri, like an eagle nose, or a hook nose. It says it's a long nose and it sticks out from the face, especially in the profile. If you turn from the profile, you can see it. Some people say I might have it.
No, I do.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
There you go. This is not you. This is your potential. You might be stubborn. You might anger easily. There's a lack of self-confidence and it's very hard to please as a person. However, leaders typically have this nose. How about a long and straight nose? It says a person that has a long and straight nose is very rational and intelligent and always walks the straight and narrow, just like his nose. They have a great gut instinct, they're creative, and have self-worth, and they value themselves greatly. How about a button nose? It's like the most cherished nose, the button nose, especially for babies, right? But what happens when they grow up? So the button nose, it's a small nose, and it tilts up. Where, you know, that term nose in the air comes from this. And they say people that have a button nose are arrogant and haughty, but they're very charismatic. And they're typically snooty or snobbish. How about a fat nose? A meaty nose? Meaty and full. Those are idealists. They're very goal-oriented. They have very good instinct. And they would rather do for the greater good than for themselves. They know what's good for them, but would rather do good to others. Very noble. How about a wide and round nose? Wide and round. Those are emotionally and loving people. How about wide and big? Those are survivors. I want you to know that it's not my style to just read facts. But I just want to give you an example of what 3 pages about a few different things can just open up your mind. I mean, this is great knowledge. It's unbelievable knowledge. It's been traveling with us for thousands and thousands of years. It's forgotten. It's not being practiced. But as you can see, this is a sampling of some of the guide to your life, if you really want to know. you know, if you want to find out who and what you are, what are your spiritual powers, what are your physical powers, you can use your features to navigate through your life, like a map. Knowing what to avoid and what to pursue. What's your weakness and what's your strength. Specific info, custom made for you. It's your face. It's your hand. Hashem gave you your own manual. You know, even your skin tells a story. They say the skin is a map of the universe. Your universe. By the way, you'd be surprised how they were able to also tie in the planets, the zodiac. It's all here. It's all in our hands. It's all in our faces. I told you, I'm not going into it, but it's all there. They say the changes in your skin represents changes in your universe. See, skin changes are fast and easy to notice, but very hard to understand. For example, rashes, fungus, discoloration, pimples. Those are things that are very noticeable. You right away notice it on your skin. And they say that most of those blemishes that come on a person's skin, like eczema, dryness, or any of these skin diseases, are a result of evil speech. Lashon hara. I was listening to Rabbi Fenger. He's a very charismatic rabbi from Israel. He says everybody is going, oh, no, I'm sorry, not Rabbi Fenger. This was Rabbi Yigal Cohen. He says, got people going to doctors all over, traveling to different states, different cities, this doctor, that doctor, for this cream and for that pill, for that. He said, just stop talking Lashon hara, it'll go away. Just stop talking. Every time somebody comes into the room, you have to peep something out. Just be quiet. The rash will go away. You know, the source to that Lashon hara is connected to skin, diseases, rashes, or anything that has to do with that, is in Sefer Bereshit. Who knows? Who was the first to speak Lashon hara? Who was the first one? First parasha. The snake. The snake was the first one to speak Lashon hara. What is the punishment that we have in the Chumash when somebody speaks Lashon hara? We just had a few parashiyot ago. Metzora. It becomes tzarat. It gets spiritual leprosy, right? His skin.
Miriam had it, right?
Miriam had it. Anyone speaks Lashon hara, there's the whole process with the Kohen. So we know that the punishment for Lashon hara is leprosy. What happens to the snake every single year?
Sheds the skin.
Why? To never forget, you spoke Lashon hara, you're going to shed your skin every year. Every year, Hashem tells the snake, I'm going to remind you. You spoke Lashon hara, I'm going to peel your skin off. One of the sources to that. I had a passing thought about that. I thought like teens and puberty. What's going on in that universe, that body? They start to break out in pimples, and he's got all these changes, hair's growing out. So you can see his own universe on the inside of him is also changing. And those pimples are a sign of that.
Yeah, but you have to clarify that that's not in every case. Some people can just have...
No, it's not. That I said is a passing thought for me. Before that was all from books. Okay. Hormones.
Yeah, it could be from anything, or allergic reactions, or...
But even though Hashem says, why does Hashem mazmin lecha? How come he brings forth for that person to have that rash? He could also not. The rabbi said, he says, all you have to do is stop and say, why am I here? Why am I at the doctor's office? Why am I getting a cream for this? What is this? And then you say, okay, I know that anything that has to do with skin has to do with Lashon hara. Okay, who am I speaking Lashon hara about? And it brings you back. You backtrack to see to what is it possibly, what is connecting to this lashon hara, and you find the person, you hold yourself back.
Right, you should always evaluate yourself.
Every
you know,
day?
Don't, like,
Every day and every night. One of the biggest thing is everything is connected to teshuvah. I want to tell you that the whole process of teshuvah, a person that does it on a regular basis, he can get to the source right away. It happened today. This afternoon I wasn't right. People that don't do teshuvah on a regular basis, they go for years and they can't figure out, why is this happening to me? You think they can go back 2-3 years and figure out that's that thing that you said or that thing that you did? That ripple effect? That's what's good to do teshuvah every day. Now, everything in the physical level has a root and seed in the spiritual world, just like we're just saying right now. And for those who are not spiritual and still cannot deny the overwhelming amount of knowledge available in our hands and faces, we'll be surprised to see that that ancient Chinese practices like feng shui, qigong, and alike have adapted personology. Personology is what we're talking about right now, chokhmat hapanim. They added to their repertoire in order to help guide and heal people to cope with everyday life. In other words, I'm bringing Razeh de Razin from Parashat Yitro, but there's other cultures that have taken on this knowledge and are using it nowadays. We think gypsies, give me $5, I'll read your tarot card and figure it out. But there's other, actual medical offices where you can go in Asia or even here in the United States where they'll tell you, well, let me read your hand, let me read your face, and I can tell you where you stand.
Let me read your tongue.
Yes. This was very interesting. Even Western medicine has taken a deeper look into this knowledge in the 1920s. There's a gentleman by the name of Mr. Edward Vincent Jones. He was a circuit judge in California. And he noticed that most of the criminals that passed by his court on a daily basis seemed to have the same features, that a similar look to them. He started to research this idea and came up with a body of work that 20 years later, and with this body of work, and after 20 years, he retires as a judge, and he begins to spread the word about personology. He's like, he did his study, and now he wants to talk about it. As he went around the country, he had many doubters show up to his demonstrations. There was one guy by the name of Robert Whiteside, a local newspaper writer. He was very fascinated by this and ended up teaming up with Edward, and they continued to do the research on thousands of people. Between 1950 and 1963, 2 separate studies by 2 separate universities were carried out over 1,000 people. And over 1,000 adults were interviewed, and the studies came back that 92% were accurate between their personalities and the features of their face. In other words, we're talking about Moshe. And we said, okay, ancient Chinese medicine. We're talking about 100 years ago, somebody here in the United States, hey, there's something here. And the university studies proved it, that there is something in the face and in the hand. The experts in personality will tell you that personality allows a person to know themselves better and understand what they believe a certain way and how to improve their strengths and weaknesses. So when Moshe Rabbeinu used this knowledge to handpick the judges and officers for the nation of Am Yisrael, it was a necessary tool for a leader. And a secret of secrets that came down to the world with it. In other words, Moshe could have kept it to himself, couldn't he? A true leader passes it on. So proud of Moshe Rabbeinu. Now, the judges knew this knowledge, and Moshe taught this knowledge to the Jewish people. Later on, the Jewish people also had courts. We're talking about when they were in Israel, they had a thing called Sanhedrin, where 2 Jews would walk in and they'd get judged. But what happens? The judges know how to read people's face. So that's it. They canceled themselves out. So what did they do? The judges covered their face, and they would only hear testimony. Did you know that? They would cover their face, and they would only hear testimony. Because if they lift it up and they look at them, they might form an opinion. And then it wouldn't be fair. As a matter of fact, this knowledge is vastly used throughout the world and throughout different cultures. Many use it for the wrong reasons. And they take advantage of people by fooling them to believe that they have powers and mystical healing powers. I'll share a story with you. This is a personal story. Maybe 15 years ago, I was walking down the village in New York City with my friend Lior and my friend Jessica. And as we're walking down the block, there's a lady that's sitting outside her storefront with a palm reading thing, $5, I'll read anything. And she points a finger at my friend and she says, "Your name is Leo." So he stops me, "How do you know?" He says, "Well, I can read it on your face. And if you give me $5, I'll tell you anything you want to know." So my friend was impressed. He was like, "Well, listen, she guessed my name. Here's $5. So, okay, he gives her $5. She's like, "What would you like to know?" He's like, "You know what, I was always curious to know what I was in a past life." So she moves the cards, she moves the stones, she flips the cards. She goes to him, "In the past life, you were an eagle. You roamed the land, you flew around, you're a free spirit." Okay. Friend Jessica used to do it all the time. So she goes, so what's my name?" She goes, "I can't read it on everybody, but if you give me $5, I'll tell you whatever you want to know." She says, "Okay." She gives her $5. She's like, "Okay, same question. What was I in a past life?" She says, "In the past life, you were a princess, you were an aristocrat, 1700s, lived in France, lived in a castle." Oh, sounds great. So she goes to me, "How about you?" I go to, "No, thank you, I don't believe, I don't want to do it." Come on, do it, we all did it." Says, "Okay, what's my name?" "My name's Sharone." How's you going to pull out Sharone, right? Says, "I can't read it on everybody, I can't read it on your face, but if you give me $5, I'll tell you anything that you want to know." So you know what, okay, here's $5. Same question, what was I in a past life? Says, "In the past life, you were a dog." "A dog?" Goes to me, "Yeah, a dog." She goes to me, "If you don't believe me, touch your left shoulder and touch your right shoulder. You'll see on your right shoulder, you have an extra bone. If you don't mind, could you just go right here?" That was just one big joke to show you that sometimes that's what tarot card readers do. It's just one big joke. I had to do that one. I'm sorry. I've been doing it for years. Did I get you guys? My wife will bug. Anyways, tonight was just a glimpse into the vast knowledge that's available to us. Just by looking into ourselves, our faces, and the story that it tells. Next week's class is going to be a little bit more intense.
Yeah.
Because we get to explore the secrets of the hands, and they really are more telling than the face. They're also very telling of past and present and future. And I didn't want to overwhelm this class. I just wanted to do like an introduction, but next week is very juicy. Bezat Hashem. But we have the desire to explore more about ourselves so we can merit to fulfill our tikkun. To walk through this life found and not lost. Driven with purpose and not lost without a cause. To know ourselves, our characters, our pros and cons, and having the desire to be the best version we can be. Discovering our Middot, the new Middot, the getting upgraded, even if you have to look at yourself in the mirror to find out what that is. Getting a level of confidence necessary for our lives, at work, at home, at play, and the rediscovery of our Jewish identity, so we can rediscover Hashem and upgrade our relationship with Hashem. Because as we upgrade ourselves, we can truly be B'Tselem Elokim, that we spoke about it, that we are created in His image, to get closer to that. Don't forget that Tamim Telech im Hashem Elokecha. Hashem likes those that walk with Him wholeheartedly, innocently. We don't need to go to a tarot card reader to tell us we were in a past life. We don't need that info. We don't need it. Just go through life with emunah. That's what you need. But at the same time, Hashem says, if you need help, if you are lost, just look at yourself. You'll have the answers. Tonight we just wanted to say, wow, Hashem, you know, I can't believe that all this, that the secret of secrets is right under our nose, right in front of our face, staring at us every day. Thank you, Hashem, for giving the personal GPS to my life. Now it's up to us to press go, you know? May Hashem bless you in your journey of Middot improvement. May you have success getting to know yourself better. And may we use the knowledge we acquired to serve Hashem and not to serve any other purpose. שיטו ליבכם לחלה פסגו אמונותיה למען תספרו לדור אחרון. שהשם מברך אתכם, שמח אתכם. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.